was wondering what advice you would give to those of us who have retired from life, our families are gone, we're alone, and we're at, I guess, the sannyas stage of life, where in India we would be going off to the forest and meditating, but that's a little hard to do here in Los Angeles. And so what advice would you give to us at that stage of our life?
Well, it's certainly a different type of jungle here. You could make the case for it that it is a jungle. The sannyas phase of life in the Indian tradition, there's 4 phases of life. We begin with the brahmacharya phase. That's our student years. We then go into the grihasthashram phase. That's our married, childbearing, career phase. Then we move into vanprast. That's sort of starting to pull away. The kids are old enough to take care of themselves. We start to retire. Then the sannyas phase, which is what Pujya Swamiji calls sort of the landing phase of life. We've got takeoff and journey and then landing. It's not about an external forest that we go into, because you could go to the forest and your mind is still like this. It's an internal forest. And so that detachment, that withdrawal, is an internal withdrawal. And that can happen anywhere. I remember when I first came back to LA with Pujya Swamiji after moving to India. I'd been there maybe 6, 8, 9 months. And we came to LA actually for a big event. And I said to him, I know you say God lives everywhere, but why is it that I feel God so much more in Rishikesh than in LA? And he said to me, God is everywhere. God is in LA just as much as God is in Rishikesh. He paused, he said, but Ganga is Ganga. And I love that answer, because it's the yes and answer. So yes, Ganga is Ganga. It's why we go there, or live there for those of us who are blessed in that way. But God is everywhere. That ability to go within is everywhere. And so at this phase of your life, ask yourself, what am I attached to? And the ego is really, really subtle. We may detach from family members. Kids may be grown, they may be living their own lives, and you feel like, okay, I'm detached from that. But then you find that we're still attached to aspects of our ego. So we're attached to how people treat us. We're attached to how people speak to us. We're attached to things in our world. We're attached to our bodies continuing to function the way that they function. We're attached to our bodies looking the way that they've looked. We're attached to other more subtle aspects. And so really get subtle with yourself and get connected. And know, okay, I'm in this landing phase of life. And it's been a great takeoff. It's been a great journey. How can I prepare for a safe, smooth, and successful landing? How can I withdraw inward and connect with where I'm going? Because ultimately that is where you're going. Rather than staying attached to that which you know is going away. I mean, it's literally dropping off before your very eyes. rather than being attached to that, connect with that which you know is staying with you. Because then it makes the whole process all so much less scary. Because then you're not dying. You're already connected with that in you, which is immortal. When we pray, oh Lord, lead us from death to immortality, it doesn't mean, oh Lord, make this body never degenerate. Oh Lord, make my hair never go gray, make me never get wrinkles, make me always, be 20 years old in my body. It's not that. It's, oh God, lead me from the identification with that which is mortal and degenerating and constantly changing to that which is immortal, unchanging, eternal. Go on that internal journey. Okay, so we have about 5 minutes left. What I'm going to do is ask the 3 of you to just give your 3 questions and then see whether we can give an answer to all 3 together. Yeah, there's one in the back, and then Sandra, and then you.
So my question is, we're supposed to see God everywhere, all the time, perfect. I can see in every human being, every living being, that there is a soul, there is a God. But how do I see here in this space? Help me realize that.
When you talk about the path of righteousness, in the Mahabharata, Arjuna and his brothers had test after test, and that sometimes they fail because the path of righteousness isn't what it might look like. And sometimes it takes a fight, actually, that they may not want to engage in to walk the path of righteousness. So if you could talk a little bit about that in modern day.
Namaste, thanks for being here. A few months ago, I made the choice to leave my Guruji for some rumors that I cannot deny or confirm. And I felt that since pointing the finger, when you point the finger, 3 foot fingers are pointing back at you, as you said that he told me. And my good friend Tommy Rosen said, if we look to the teachings and not the man, seek perfection in the man, but I had him as an avatar of Shiva, as an avatar of Rudra, to be specific. So if he is that, wouldn't he be above such things?
Okay. Everything is perfect. So I'll talk on those 3. I'll then ask Pujya Swamiji to give us a closing blessing, and I'll conclude. But there are 3 very, very beautiful and important points. So, seeing God everywhere. If we're looking for God with form, you can only see form in form. And so if I'm going to see God with form, then yes, in the people, in the trees. If I'm looking for God with form, and I look here into space, akash, air, I'm not going to see form, usually. But this is where we know that God is also formless. God is also infinity, right? When we speak about infinity. So it's every form and formlessness. And so in that formlessness, in the sound, right? We talk about the sound. The word is God. Sat Nam. Right? The word is God. The sound is God. Om. Well, how do you see Om? You don't. You feel Om. Close your eyes for a minute. Okay. How do you know that I'm here? Can you hear my voice? Keep your eyes closed. How do you know that I'm here? You can hear the sound of my voice. Okay. Now, yeah, you can open your eyes. We don't have time to do the experiment fully. But the point being, we have 5 ways of knowing that we're used to using, our 5 senses. So I know you are here because I can see you. If my eyes are closed, I can hear you, assuming you're speaking. If you stop speaking, maybe I can reach out and touch you. Maybe there's a scent, I can smell you. But I need to rely on my 5 senses to know you. If we are expecting God to only be knowable by our 5 senses, then we've sold ourselves short in 2 ways. Number 1, our way of knowing. Number 2, the existence of God. So we've then denied God the ability to exist as formlessness, and we've denied ourselves the way of knowing that's not with our 5 senses. Do you love? Of course. Well, love is not of the 5 senses. We have intuition. We have so many ways of knowing that if we deprived ourselves of using them because they weren't our 5 senses, we would lose that which is the richest in our life. And so in order to see God, know God in Akash, you've got to rely on a way of knowing that isn't your eyes, that isn't your ears. That's your internal way of knowing. Can you feel God? So can you experience God, not with your 5 senses? That's when you feel the presence, the same way that you can feel the presence of a loved one even. Sandra. Righteousness. Yeah, it's not always romantic. It's not always what we expected. A lot of us, when we think about restoring light, restoring dharma, fulfilling our dharma, there's this element of romance, of grandeur, of, knight on the white horse, I'm going to come in. And a lot of times, it's not at all what we expected. It's not at all what feels good. A lot of times, it's not what we want to do. My favorite story is the story of the saint who's bathing in the river. And there's a scorpion drowning. And he reaches out to pick up the scorpion to save it and put it on the shore. And the scorpion stings him and he flings his hand. The scorpion falls back in the water. He goes to pick it up again. Stings him again. He flings his hand again. It falls back in the water. And this drama goes on several times. And someone who's sitting on the shore says, Baba, just let him drown. Like, he's just going to keep stinging you. He's a scorpion. Every time you go to save him, he stings you. Just let him drown. So the saint says, he stings me because to sting is his dharma. I save him because to save is my dharma. And if he's not leaving his dharma, why should I leave mine? Now, certainly didn't feel good. Wasn't particularly efficient or effective if you were the saint every time trying to pick this scorpion up. Certainly wasn't romantic. Nobody said, wow, you're so great. In fact, the only person watching thought that he was a bit off his rocker to keep trying to save the scorpion who kept stinging him. But it was his dharma to do that. And the Mahabharata is full of examples of times in which it doesn't feel good. It's not what we wanted to do. But it's clear it's what is needed to do. And this is where our meditation practice is so important. So that what I want, how I want it to be, who I want to acknowledge me in what way, can be moved aside. And I can actually be a vessel for that truth. Because that war was what they needed to do. And that's a topic for not only a whole other satsang, but a whole course. But the only way to know, I mean, this is where Arjuna had Krishna as his charioteer, right? Otherwise, how would he know? And this is where, for us, can we say, okay, God, I've driven my life long enough. You be my charioteer. Because Arjuna needed Krishna as the driver of his chariot to say, no, you don't get to jump off this chariot and run into the forest. Not so fast, my friend. Right here, pick up that bow, string that arrow. Yeah, I know it's your family. Yeah, I know it's this. Stand up. And this is where we need that divine presence in our life to know. That's where we need to know who we are. That's what the Bhagavad Gita is a teaching to Arjuna of who he is. And who the world is. And what is his relationship to that world. So that he can stand up and fight. And that's where that connection comes in. And the question I would ask myself all the time on a really practical level as you're navigating this is this about me? When you're in that place of trying to make a decision, it doesn't feel good, it may not be what you want to do, but there's something within you that says, this is what I need to do. Ask yourself, is this about me? Meaning my lowercase m me. Is it about my ego? Is it about my desires? Am I running from something? Am I grabbing at something? Am I stuck with an identity? Am I stuck with someone in my childhood who said, you're worthless, you're stupid, you're never going to become anything? Or someone who said, why can't you be like so-and-so? So I've spent my life trying to be like every so-and-so. Ask yourself those questions and try to remove those voices to get just the voice of truth. And then lastly, the perfect teachings through the imperfect vehicle. And that's okay. Because that's the grace of God, is that God doesn't need a perfect vehicle to give perfect teachings. And it's a teaching for us of how can I let go of my attachment to the perfect vehicle. What have I projected on to this teacher that I needed that teacher to be in order for me to implement their teachings? Yeah, it would be great if the teachers were perfect. It would be great if they lived what they taught. There's a particular teacher whose name I won't mention, but who I never met personally, who was teaching when I was still a kid in school, but whose teachings I have found in my adulthood to be so profound, so deep, so amazing. And yet, when you talk to people about him, what you get is, well, oh my God, did you know he this and he that? And I always say, I'm so glad, actually, that I only started studying his teachings after he passed away, after all of that drama was over, because it enabled me to just absorb the teachings as pure teachings. It's totally irrelevant to me whether he lived them or not, Because to me, the teachings feel pure and perfect. If I were living with him as a disciple, yeah, it would be really hard to separate that, which is why it's actually so important for those on a spiritual path, for those who are teachers, to do their own work, to do their own sadhana. Because you don't represent only yourself, you represent the dharma. And this is what happens, is people lose faith, not just in a teacher, but they lose faith in the teachings. They lose faith in the dharma. And this is where that responsibility, and by the way, this goes for all of you who are yoga teachers. You may not be sannyasis, you may not be gurus, but you have initiated students on a path of yoga, which, if there's depth in your teaching, is a path of union. And lest people lose faith in the path of yoga, there's a responsibility of how you're going to live your lives. And it's even much more when you're actually teachers of the Dharma. And unfortunately, they don't all live up to it. Now, in this case, what I would say is, hold on to the teachings. Let go of the attachment to the imperfect vehicle. Be grateful that you had the opportunity to receive the teachings, the perfect teachings, and hear them from within you now. And you say you saw him as an avatar of Shiva. Okay. If he were a fully awake avatar of Shiva, would he make these mistakes? No. So what that means is he was not a fully awake avatar of Shiva. Does the divine still live within him? Of course. Does the divine live within you? Yes. Are you able now to hear those teachings within you? Yes. Find your own internal avatar of Shiva. Ultimately, that's what the guru does. The word guru in Sanskrit is the remover of the darkness and the one who brings light. But as I always say, people ask a lot about, how do I know if it's the right guru? And there's no cookie cutter way to know that. But one way to know that a guru isn't the right guru is when the light they shine is only on themselves. If the light that the guru brings is the light of themselves, and it's all about the guru, I would run as fast as I could in the other direction, because ultimately the light is supposed to be the light of you. The guru is the light that shows you the light of you.
I've seen the room fill up with light in his presence.
Fantastic. You know what that means? Your eyes have connected to that light. That vision is in you. And now you've been given an incredible challenge to see that light in every room you walk into. And where you can't find it, bring it. Can you bring the light to the room where you can't find it? Let that now be your path.
Last. When I was in the jungle, so many scriptures were shared, taught, but at the end, just one line, the master said, experience is more important than thousands holy books. The living is more important than 1,000 holy books. My dear, start living in your lives. The moment we start living, so many questions are answered. And it's great you have an opportunity to ask questions. And questions are being answered in such a divine way. But I remember when I was there, never ever ask any question. Never. I remember. Start living. That's what Sadhviji is trying again and again. Live that meditation. Meditation will turn your GPS on. Really. GPS is there, it's installed. But meditation will turn that GPS on, then you will have the clarity. Our vision gets clouded because of many reasons. But if the GPS is on, will keep showing you the right way, the right direction, will navigate you. Not only the streets of California, but to the seats of your life also. Just stay connected. Meditate, introspect, and live that, what you have heard, and will create the magic. Live that light, what you have been given. You can see the magic. It's not somewhere there. You are the magic. You are that miracle. Realize that, and you will love it. God bless you. Please close your eyes, and we can have the final prayer. Mrityurma